There is a colossus effect underway in computing. Something so massive, it's reshaping the entire energy industry, computing, and even geopolitics. Let me show you. Back in March, this was an abandoned factory. Just 6 months later, Colossus 2 stands here. A machine the size of a city, built not for people, but for intelligence. It's nearly 1 million GPUs under one roof, eating up a gigawatt of power. This is the story of the world's first AI gigafactory, and the insane journey it took to build it. I am an engineer who spent a decade building the most critical chips for this technology. That's why I'm so excited about this particular story and its impact. Subscribe to the channel right now and let me explain. Today, Amazon, Microsoft, OpenAI, and Meta, everyone is pouring billions into AI factories because the race isn't just about smarter models anymore. Every new generation needs at least 10 times more compute power. So the hyperscalers are no longer just running data centers. They're building power plants to fuel AI faster and cheaper. Amazon needs it to defend the cloud, OpenAI to push the frontier, Meta just to catch up. So slowly but surely, AI labs are turning into energy companies. And now comes xAI. Last September, they shocked the industry with the Colossus 1. When just in 122 days, they turned an empty shell into one of the world's largest AI training sites. Then it took them 19 days, just 19 days, to wire and to deploy 100,000 NVIDIA GPUs. That alone was historic. The speed, the scale, no one in the industry had ever built like this before. But today's story is about something far bigger. Colossus 2. And on paper, it might look like just another data center. But in reality, it's 4 giants rolled in one. Just imagine, at peak, it will draw up to 1.2 gigawatts of power. And that's a lot. That's enough to keep the lights on in more than 2 million homes. So, what does it take to build a gigawatt data center? And here it's getting interesting because you actually don't start with GPUs. You start with power. In every sense of this word. Without gigawatts of stable energy, the racks stay dark. And that's where Colossus 2 becomes fascinating. Imagine you want to build a data center. The first challenge is simple and brutal. Where do you find a gigawatt of power? And even if you secure that much power, how do you push it into one building without frying the grid? At this scale, you have to actually build a new electrical backbone. You need substations, switchgear, transformers, backup, and distribution lines feeding straight into the racks. This means when you're building an AI data center, the first thing you have to build is a power factory. And that's where the drama of Colossus 2 begins. Colossus needed at least a full gigawatt, with scaling up to 2. The city of Memphis, Tennessee, could barely spare 50 megawatts. Colossus needed 1,000. Regulators said no. Communities pushed back. For a moment, the project looked dead. Until xAI crossed the state line. Here, they did something extreme. They found a solution just across the state line, in South Haven, Mississippi, just a few miles from Memphis. The site was former Duke Energy power plant, with gas pipelines and grid connections already in place, but gas turbines long gone. So they decided to acquire this gas plant, which was perfect for a rebuild. Then came the bold move, buying natural gas turbines overseas and shipping it to the US. Basically, they found the former power plant abroad in Europe and broke it into container-sized modules, shipped it to the US, and reassembled it in Mississippi. Sounds crazy, but it was far faster than building it in a conventional way. And it worked. Within just a couple of months, the turbines were spinning. 7 Titan-class units, each over 35 megawatts. Together, they brought approximately 460 megawatts online. What's interesting, solving power was only a half of the battle. The real challenge isn't just delivering electricity, it's in keeping it perfectly stable. GPUs spike in milliseconds, and such millisecond surge can drop voltage, and in the worst case cascade through entire hall. And restarting these runs isn't just annoying, it burns millions of dollars wasted in compute. Ironically, NVIDIA advancements make this story worse. What actually makes it worse is density, because these aren't just ordinary racks anymore. We quite used to racks drawing about 50 kilowatts of power. But with new NVIDIA Blackwell chips, power draw jumps from 50 kilowatt to 130 kilowatts per rack. And at this scale, each rack pulls as much electricity as a small neighborhood. And keeping this supply uninterrupted was one of the toughest problems Colossus II had to solve. For that, Colossus II pairs its turbines with 168 Tesla Megapacks. You can think of them as giant rechargeable batteries. They soak energy when demand is low and release it instantly when demand surges. What's essential to understand here is that power doesn't flow straight from the grid to the racks. It moves through a layered system built for stability. The grid and backup diesel generators feed into the megapacks, which smooth out spikes. And only then electricity is routed through power distribution and into the rack arrays. The result? Steady, predictable power to hundreds of thousands of GPUs. And with that, Power Factory for Colossus II came alive. Without that bold move across the border, Colossus II would simply not exist. And power is just the first pillar of 4, and the most invisible to the most of us. But in effort, complexity, and cost, it's enormous. At Colossus II, power infrastructure alone eats up 20% of the budget.
This is Elder G again. So now you see where they talking about in Revelation. Now you see that AI is gonna suck up all the power. They're gonna suck up all the water because you're gonna need the water to keep this cool. These nuclear power plants. And the water is gonna be leftover water that cools the power plant. So you know the water is gonna be contaminated. AI is killing human beings. It's destroying America. It's destroying jobs. It's just destroying God's people and God's land. And it's messing up the air. It's messing up the water. It's gonna cost people, billions of people without jobs, because they let the country and the world got taken over by machines and by evil people. How can you say you love God and you're destroying everything that God made for us to take care of? You doing all of that for materialistic greed and lust and power, trying to make yourself a God. You're going to destroy everything that God gave us.